Hey, welcome to How to Build Your Own Home. This is Keith. I want to talk to you about some framing and things I did to this home, some nice little details, ideas that might help you out with regard to your home. Let's start with the front here on the porch here. A lot of times we have some timbers on the front porch that gives it some architectural appeal. For the longest time, when people frame, they would use a 4x4 post on any kind of front porch, and that just looks weak and limp. I don't like them, and a lot of people have been moving away from that. They do it because of affordability, but I just don't like the look of a 4x4 post. So I've got a 7.5 by 7.5 post out here. It's overkill. It's more than I need, but it sure is attractive. All right. I did a post earlier, about a year ago, on the saddle supports for the post. Now, if you see here, I've got a saddle that I actually have manufactured myself with my metal worker. So I do that myself, and then I have J-bolts mounting into the concrete that pull that saddle down. And then when we set the 7.5 by 7.5 post inside there, we trim it off, and it sets nice and flush on top of those nuts, those bolts at the bottom. And then we of course put some lag screws in there. It's a beautiful feature. I do it a lot on a lot of my homes. But the neat thing is I lifted this up about an inch as well. So if there's any water, it's not going to get inside that wood. It's going to be clear and free of water. Let's walk through the home as well and take a look. As we walk in, we see I have a bump out here for a window. When you're dealing with smaller homes and really what you would call closer on the verge of tiny homes or homes under 1,500 square feet, you want to try to create as much architectural appeal as you possibly can. And here we have a bump out window, but as you come inside, you'll see the benefit of that. Okay, we're now on the inside and we have what you would call a bench. Right. This adds a lot of depth and a lot of character to a home when if you didn't do that, you would just have kind of a boxed out room. This here opens it up. It gives a lot of shoulder room as well to the home. It's a nice place to sit. I did the same thing on the landing on the stairs, which we'll show about in just a second. Something to think about. Now, when I get my framing bid, I get my framers to bid me cost per square foot of the inside living space of the room. So I don't have an additional cost and labor on putting that in. The only rule of cost is the lumber on that. So if you can negotiate when your framers on the cost per square foot to build, it's really not that difficult to get that framed in as part of the build of the house. Let's go back here. Keep in mind though, this is a benched area within a sitting area. That window does have to be tempered, so that is a tempered window. Let's walk back here and take a look at some more areas. In the design of this home, because I was so limited in space, I wanted a mechanical room. Now that's really hard, very difficult to fit in when you have a small house. However, I was able to fit it upstairs, which we'll see in just a minute, but I did it right above the laundry room, and I'll explain why I did that. But it was a nice feature. We got a kitchen right here. I've got a laundry room here. The fridge is built inside the wall structure here as part of what was considered the laundry room. And then I've got a little pantry room over here, all within accessibility of the kitchen. Again, not taking up too much space. Let's walk back in the back. Okay, we're now in a master bedroom area. And as you walk back in this area, I've got a real nice ensuite master bathroom here. And we've got a walk-in shower. We don't have a tub in here. So we went with a walk-in shower, and there's some reasons for that with regard to the client. We've got a toilet here, a walk-in shower here. Again, this is a recessed shower I talk about a lot. It's really, really good. I had a student call me the other day ago. Hey, Keith, what should I do? Should I do a stem wall? Should I do a slab-on grade? And I says, tell me about your situation. They're going to be rental units, and he didn't want to have, he wanted to, he's not going to move any sewer at all. He's really going to be fixed. And I go with a recessed shower inside the slab on grade. And we did that with 3 inches down, and it worked out just great. It makes it awesome for your tile preppers. They come in and slope it just perfectly, and I'm not going to have any threshold in this shower, none whatsoever. And when we do the finished video on this, you'll see what I'm talking about. And of course, a nice walk-in closet right off of the bathroom right here. Let's go upstairs and I'll talk to you about some things upstairs. But before we go, I want to show one thing back here. This is why you want to go with 2x6 construction on an exterior wall. A lot of times you're going to have an electrical panel put up there. Now, if this is a 2x4 wall, then that 2x4 is going to stop right here. And so on the heat on the outside on a hot summer day as the sun is really reflecting on that. I've felt homes when the panel was in a 2x4 wall and it's radiating heat and it's also radiating cold because this is metal. It's conductive. It's working its way inside the home. So I'm going to be able to put 2 inches of rigid foam or even a comfort bat rock wool right in here or any other insulation. So that's going to stop that conductivity. This is a real big plus for why you want to have a 2x6 constructed home. Let's walk upstairs. We also were able to get what you call a half bath or a powder bath underneath the steps because we're confined in space. We're utilizing the space that we create by doing other things. So steps, we actually did a turnabout step system with a landing, a kind of a double landing, which I'll explain in just a second. But that bath, that half bath, was able to be fit right underneath here. Now you notice I was really, really close on that. I have to have a clearance of 6 feet. I think it's 9 inches of clearance, and I have that just barely. I have a 1/4 inch to spare, so I was able to put the toilet back in there. And we'll have a vanity here, but I'm not going to take up the whole space for the vanity. Why? Because I have all that under space underneath the steps. That is going to be storage. Now, when you're dealing with a small home and you're dealing with the lack of space or storage space, I have a plug back in there. I have a light in there on the finish of this entire home. I'll show you. It'll be more visible to you, but I've got some nice storage underneath there for the client. They can put boxes, and we'll just have an 18-inch vanity right here that's going to come out to right here. It'll allow me to have a door to open up right here, so that I'm not going to have, I'll have access. I'll have an easement inside that storage space. So using under storage for the steps, we were able to do that here. Dealing with small homes, you don't want to feel claustrophobic. You don't want to feel like you don't have elbow room. You don't want to feel like you don't have a nook or a place to hang out. So up the stairs here, we were able to put some bay windows, again with ledges, so that kids or anyone can literally sit down here and just read and take some time for themselves and be away from the hubbub. If it's cold outside, which it often is up here in the wintertime, this here will all be finished off, so it will be the same level as the window seal, a whole level there, and some nooks and crannies back in here so they can store a backpack or books or something like that. We're going to do the same thing here. Actually, I hope it's going to work out because I have this open cavity in here. If we can utilize some of that for some storage area, for some books. So if the kids come in, they can put a backpack there, a backpack there, a backpack there, maybe one over here. We're hoping. We'll see how. I went over that with my carpenter. He says he can make it happen. We'll see how it comes out at the finished level. So if you've got dead space like this, see if there's a way to utilize that for some storage or something else down the road. We'll see how it comes out. But again, this landing here, I got a landing here and a landing here. And there's some code restrictions with regard to that. You have to have a certain distance, and I don't want to go over that with steps with you right now. But we were able to barely make it work, this landing, so we were able to fit that bathroom down there. On the architectural plans, the plans were off just a few inches, and it made it tight. We were only planning to have one landing, but because of the way the design came out, we were just short. I haven't seen that happen at all, but we were short 3 inches, so we had to make some adjustments, and that's why we have a landing here and a second landing up here. Let's go upstairs and show you upstairs. We're upstairs, and you see I have a pony wall here, and there's typically what you call a dead landing space here. Most people would just frame all the way from here all the way to the stairs and a little turned out here, and that would just be kind of a place for a plant or a place for some pots or something like that. But it's just a dust collector. If you've seen a shelving in kitchens in homes where it's just dead air and that just collects dust, and then it's non-usable. So anytime a square footage I can grab, I'm going to grab. That's only about maybe 5.5 or 6.5 square feet. Guess what? That is added to the actual equity or value in the home. They'll actually look at the square footage upstairs and measure that off. Why not grab that? Rather than take the pony wall all the way across, we take it, and it's well built, real strong. And then there's a place for maybe a laundry basket or something for kids. They throw their stuff in here, and whoever comes up and grabs it, takes it down, and it's really quick, really easy. Even a place for games, storage, whatever you want right there. And then as we move forward, I wanted to show you the rooms. Now, the original plans called for the ceiling to come down about 8.5, 9 feet. So we went ahead and go with a vaulted ceiling. But I have some problems with going total vault all the way up. I need ventilation inside my attic. I'm a big fan of moving air, and I've talked about that in a lot of videos. The more you can get air movement through your home, inside the rafters, you're going to keep it from ever getting a cold condensing surface where water can collect and therefore do some damage on the home. So we dropped the ceiling just a little bit. And if you can notice that, I've got a double ply LVL as the beam going all the way across the top of the house where my TGIs are landing on that. But if I took my drywall all the way up to the pinnacle there and all the way to the point, I'm not going to have ventilation from one side of the roof to the other because that double LVL is actually blocking air movement. So by dropping the ceiling just a little bit, now I have air movement, and I'll have some bats or some baffles that I'll put in one bay and put in another bay in each of the rooms that will have some air movement to the top of that peak. So that's why we did that. But giving more open space, the more height you have in a room, it gives more elbow room, it's a more expansive feel to it. So we did that here. And the one thing I did in this home that I'm really pleased with is I have my mechanical room, like I mentioned before, directly above the laundry room. And that allowed for all of my ventilation, all my mechanical, my plumbing and everything to be fit right above one room and another. So I was able to drop a ceiling below and therefore add the feature of putting my mechanical with inside conditioned space. I mentioned that in a previous video. Anytime you can get your mechanical inside conditioned space, not on the roof, not on the side of the house, not in a hot attic, the better. And this here, we have a small attic. It's maybe about 4 feet. It's about 12 feet from here to here. The rooms on both sides are vaulted, but the attic, I do have an attic access right here. Now I want to mention something about attic accesses. Most of the time you're going to have what's called a 2x4 or a cross beam, and they typically put an attic access just with the 2x4s. I like to extend that with either a 2x10 or a 2x8 or even a 2x12 material. Now why do I do that? Because if you look right here, I've got 13 inches from the bottom, 13.5 inches from the bottom of the roof truss or to the top of that 2x10. That gives me the opportunity to crawl up in there without having insulation fall down on me. How many times have you been through an attic access and you lift that lid and all that insulation comes down? I told my framer from now on we'll probably raise that. If I can get up to 18 inches or even 24 inches, it makes it hard to crawl into the attic, but I'm not going to have any insulation fall down on me when I get access into the attic. And I really don't need access to the attic at all because all my mechanical is within inside the conditioned space of the home. But for some reason, if the client needed to get up there and wanted to create some storage or throw stuff up there, they'll be able to do that. But keep in mind, you want to keep some height up there so you're not going to have insulation falling in on yourself. Now inside here, where my son is standing, this here is a bathroom, and we ended up putting a shower in here. I, again, like zero threshold showers, but this is going to have a high use shower with a lot of kids. So we did put a double 2x4 down there, which will have a lip. It gives my tile guy sufficient space to fill in, build up, so he can actually put some tile in there. And we did go ahead and we put in a little bench in there. But you notice here, I got some backing all the way around here. And that's really what you want to see in a shower. We had it in the shower down below. We'll have it up here because I use typically a bladder system. Or even if you use RedGuard or a lot of other systems that are out there, they need that backing to apply either the bladder system or some other envelope system to hold the water. I have what's called a pan inspection in my area with my permitting office. That pan inspection means that I have to have my bladder system in place. It has to be plugged and sealed off. Then we have to fill it up with water. And then it has to hold that water over a period of time so we know there's no leak in there. So I will have a pan inspection up above and I'll have a pan inspection down below. And this lip here allows me to do that. And then of course we'll have a vanity over here, and we have some linen closet where the cameraman is currently standing. This is just a quick walkthrough of things I think about, things I go through on a small home, how you can really utilize the best space and how to really build a highly effective home with the least amount of space. If you think through it, you can do that. Now, I would have done attic trusses on this home. I'm a big fan of attic trusses, but because of the narrowness of the home, I just was limited. I just couldn't do that. But I was able to make up the difference by creating some space here with everything else that I've got here. I've got this plan. If people are interested, message me at howtobuildyourownhome.com. I'd like to be able to get this plan available to a lot of people. Now, this plan does not have a garage to it. Let me walk over to the end of the window and show you what we plan to do down the road. Okay, now we're at the end of the house here, and I've got a window here, and down the road, because there's no garage on this home, we'll be able to attach a garage to the edge of this here, and that garage is all planned for, it's all designed. And I got the septic system in the back there. We had to move the septic, and we'll talk about that when we do some septic videos. But again, I talk about building in stages. This is a home that's going to be in stages. Now, if they plan to down the road, they can actually build a garage, attach it to the end porch of this house, and then have that as a second phase. And I've got the septic, I've got the power, all designed so that it's an easy connection. Outside, I've got a pipe that's a secondary 2-inch pipe that's coming out of the main panel that will loop around and tap into a garage, and the septic will be easily designed because I got a Y in the septic, and no septic line, no power line is in the ground beyond this point, up to about 24 feet after that septic picks up. Now, this is a stage situation, allowing for clients to down the road build additions and have opportunities for other things in their life. Again, stages are real plus. Again, just a walkthrough on some things I've done for this small home with affordability and effective design techniques. Hope that helps you out. This is How to Build Your Own Home.